Hey so one of my clients has been asking for some help with my morning routine around how I do a coffee enema. He's struggling to know how to do it and how to be consistent with it. So I wanted to show him exactly how I do it. So this way, really, for one, he's got no excuse, but also I thought this would be very informative to help you out as well. So this is how we get started. We've got very simple, basic saucepan. Put the amount of coffee in that you want to have. So for me, I use 2 tablespoons at the minute, so all you really need is organic. As long as it's organic, so bio is organic from Portugal. So as long as it's organic, you'll be fine. The lighter the roast, so you can see this is a 5. If you can get something that's more like a 1 or a 2, it'll be better. But even 5 works fine. Like, this is all I've got, so this is what I'm using, and it works fine. You don't have to use special enema coffee or anything complicated like that. Just stick it in the pan and add water. You want to make it so that you don't want to have so much water that it's going to be really hard to hold, but you want to make sure that you've got enough so that it's going to be able to absorb all of the coffee. This is a different amount depending on how much you use, but topping out at about 3 tablespoons, you don't really need more than 500, 600 milliliters. So you can use up to that for however much coffee you're using. Get it to a boil, so it'll have a head, it'll bubble over. Once that happens, turn it down to 1, so lowest temperature. Put a lid on, like this. Just put a lid on it. Leave it for 15 minutes. As soon as you can leave it for longer than that, so 15 minutes is what I would say is the minimum. What I like to do is get it boiling and then leave it for 15 minutes. While it's cooking, I basically have some food. So I've got my shake here. This is a lot of fat in it, so this is going to also stimulate a bile release. So while we do the coffee enema to release bile, this is also going to be digesting, which means this is going to stimulate more of a bile release, so we get a more therapeutic effect. Okay, so coffee enema has been boiling for at least 15 minutes. Take the lid off, do this sort of swirling motion to get any of this coffee that's stuck on the sides off. Leave it. This lets the coffee grounds sink to the bottom because they're more dense than the liquid. They just sink to the bottom. Some people like to filter this and do it through a sieve. I find that's really unnecessary if you do this, because you're going to decant it, so you're just going to pour the water off the top. So you just need to leave it for like 20 seconds like that, and then you just slowly pour off the top, just like this. And as soon as you start to see coffee grounds coming out with the water, you stop. You can see coffee grounds are starting to come out. There you go, you stop. Now you want to put this in some cold water. So I've got another pan here, just as an example. You'd basically just put this in the cold water and it will begin to cool it down. So obviously fill the water up higher. Use a thermometer. Don't try to guess the temperature, use a thermometer. 42 degrees, absolute maximum. Okay, coffee enema is cool. Again, measure it with a thermometer, make sure that you know it's cool enough. What I like to do is add some probiotics into this mixture. If you're using a larger dosage, you might want to use an anal syringe instead to save you some money, because you're gonna put a lot of this back out. But this is really easy. If you don't have to have an enema kit, an extra syringe, you've got like your basic equipment. And if you're doing these on a more regular basis, I'd definitely suggest you add some probiotics. So you'll all know this is definitely a probiotic that I recommend. I really like it. And basically you're just going to sprinkle it in here, sort of swirl it around like this, and get it dissolved, and then we'll be ready to administer the enema. Now it's time to get your enema kit ready. So this is what an enema kit looks like. I like to use Castili soap. So this is like a soap base. So this is free of all fragrances, chemicals. It's just like, it's basic, the most basic soap you're going to get. And this is quite important because other different types of soaps, they're going to have chemicals and they're going to be antimicrobial, antibiotic, and you're putting this inside your colon. So even if you rinse this out really well, there's still going to be traces of soap. So make sure the soap that you're using to clean this is very good. I would also suggest that you replace this about once every 3 months at a maximum, because you can see like this isn't a poo stain, this is coffee stain. Once it starts getting stained like this, I should probably replace this, so I'll do that soon. Optionally, you can also use hydrogen peroxide to clean it. Very low percent, 3%. I just like to change my bag because, well, I mean, these are kind of, I think it's good to change. Okay, so now you've got your coffee enema solution, got your enema kit that's clean. First of all, you're going to want to make sure that you hold this up and let any excess water drain out of it. Hang it up on something. You can usually use the back of a door. We've got a little hook here. So hang that up on the hook. And what you're going to want to do is pour the coffee in. You're going to want to keep this shut to start off with. Pour all the coffee in. And give it a little swirl at the bottom to get any of the probiotics that are stuck. And then you're going to want to open it into something that's below the level of the water. So you can see here, this setup is really nice. And this is going to allow the air to flow out. You want a little bit of coffee to come out here. And now the coffee is all the way through the tube. And this way you're not going to put any air in, which makes it very difficult to hold. Change of scenery. Now we're in the bathroom. So once my coffee enema is cooling, once I've had some food, I like to go to the toilet. Even if you don't feel any urge, even if you don't have that call of nature, go and sit on the toilet anyway. You'll be surprised what happens. This is why I've been able to be so consistent. I still don't feel the urge a lot of the time, but I sit on the toilet and I manifest a bowel movement. So take time while your enema's cooling down to go and sit on your toilet and relax. Don't sit on your toilet and then be playing on your phone, on social media, doing stressful stuff. Sit down and relax. Also, you can get some bonus points. One, use a stool. You can use something called a squatty potty, or you can just get a regular stool. You also get bonus points if you have really cool slippers like I do. And if you've got a mat that reminds you of your digestive system. So this is like all the little microvilli that are inside your small intestine. So having a mat like this is definitely going to help you go to the toilet. So now we are administering the enema. So a couple of forewords before we get started. You're going to want to make sure that if this is one of your first times, you don't know how well you're going to hold this, make sure that you're in a good environment. Fortunately for me, my nan's house is like a wet room all the way through the bathroom, so that's really good. You're also going to want some kind of pillow. So I've got my really comfy buckwheat pillow, because you're going to be laying here for 15 minutes, and you're going to want to make sure that you're on a surface that's a bit softer. You can administer this in many different ways. You can lay on your back with your bum propped up by like a rolled up towel. You can lay on your left, you can lay on your right. You can sort of be in sort of like doggy style position with your butt up in the air. I prefer to do it that way. I find that's the only way that my colon really likes it now. So you have to try and do whatever feels comfortable for you to administer the enema. Whilst you're holding it, I'm going to suggest that you just be in the most relaxed position possible. Some people say like you have to be on your left or you have to be on your right. You don't. It really doesn't matter. Just lay however's comfortable to you. If you find it easier to hold on your left, lay on your left. If you prefer to lay on your back, like I do, lay on your back. It's not rocket science, just hold it. The coffee is going in through the capillary bed in the colon. It's not about gravity. It really doesn't matter. It's going in regardless. So just hold it. So we're going to be trying to hold it for about 15 minutes. If you can't hold it for 15 minutes, that's no problem at all. Just hold it for as long as you can and expel it on the toilet when you're done. During these 15 minutes, this is a really good opportunity to meditate, to reflect, to introspect. If you find it really hard to hold in your first couple of times, just watch a YouTube video. It'll be fine. Just try and distract yourself. But once you get to the point where holding this is really easy, whilst I'm holding my enema and meditating is usually when I have my most profound insights. Feelings like enlightenment, ecstasy, complete like bliss, oneness. It's very cool. It's a very cool experience. So this is a really good opportunity to fit your mindfulness practice or your gratitude thoughts or prayer or something. It's a really good time to do that, and it makes it a lot easier to hold. So make sure you've got something comfortable to lay on. Make sure you've got something comfortable to hold your head up, hold your neck up, and try and hold it for 15 minutes. That I forgot. So again, make sure that the temperature is right. You don't want it to be, if it's too cold, it's going to be harder to hold. If it's too hot, you're going to hurt yourself. So 38 to 42 degrees is the optimal temperature. I usually like to go for 42 because then by the time you put it in the enema bag, some of the heat comes out of it. If it's a bit colder, you're going to feel it a little bit more. That's fine. That's totally okay. It will warm up as it's inside you. Also, for administering, make sure you use lots of lube. You can use, I know people like to use Vaseline, KY jelly, that sort of stuff. Not a big fan of that. I prefer to use something natural. I use coconut oil. You can use olive oil. Just make sure you use some kind of lubricant and don't poke yourself in the arse. Be very gentle, be very careful. And whilst you're administering the enema, make sure you are relaxed. If you're not relaxed, your body will not let it in. You have to really relax. I've evacuated my coffee enema, and that's the coffee enema procedure complete. But aftercare is very important too. So I strongly suggest everybody to be drinking green juice. You can choose what you like. I like kale. This is also the best time to take a binder. So if you're taking binders, this is the most effective time to take them. In my opinion, nothing comes close to as good as a binder as a probiotic. So this is where I take my probiotic. As you can see, I've been drinking my juice. I'm going to take my probiotic now. That's my procedure. That is how I do a coffee enema.